What are you reporting?
We got someone or something crawling around out here.
Did you see what it was? Was it a person or an animal or?
I can't tell. All I know is that my central light came on and I just happened to glimpse and see this thing running across the yard. A good-sized man or something looks like a man. I don't know what it was, just that it ran across the yard.
Okay. You've had problems in the neighborhood before?
Yeah, my dog was killed here just recently. I don't know what it was. Whatever it is, it's running. I couldn't catch it if I was going to chase it. So whatever it was standing up. I'm out here looking through the window now and I don't see anything. I don't want to go outside. Jesus Christ, you better...
Sir?
See up!
Hello?
Get somebody out here.
What's going on now, sir?
That son of a bitch is about 6'9", I don't know.
Do you see him now, sir?
Yes, I'm looking right at him.
Uh-oh. Okay, hang on.
He's right...
Is he in your yard, sir?
Yeah, God, he's big.
Okay, what's he doing in your yard?
He's looking at me.
Oh, and the guy is on foot.
I don't know what... It's a big... real big person. That's all I can say.
Okay, but it is a person.
Yeah, I'd say it was a person, somebody really big.
It is a great night to be streaming, everybody. Hello, hey, welcome, friends. We are live from Madison, Wisconsin on this Saturday, February 13th, 2021, 6:03 p.m. I am your host, Sandra Pokorney. I got a couple of shout outs we're going to handle first. Rosendo and JoJo, love and miss you. Tea Cake, Poppin' Butt Cheeks, Guitar Hack. Some channels you should check out and subscribe to: Ghosts of Carmel, Maine, Seeking Legends, aka Cryptid Hunter, and Mountain Beast Mysteries. If you would, in your spare time, check out those 3 channels. I have new merch in the gift shop, so if you would check those out. And we are a self-funded channel, so if you hit that PayPal link, it would be most appreciative. This is the all-new Squatch Squad Live. Stick around. It is going to get interesting. Thanks for tuning in. And if you're in the live chat, be nice or be booted. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Hope you get some candy. Here is tea cake. And we're just going to get right into it. The intro you just heard and watched is from my documentary Where Bigfoot Walks, with close to 300,000 views. If you would at some point check that out, most appreciated. And in that we heard vocalizations. The whooping noises are from alleged Bigfoots. I say that because I wasn't there. We heard tree knockings and we listened to an official 911 call from that poor guy in Washington. Had one in his yard and did not know quite how to deal with it. Anyways, you all know my co-host Tea Cake is here joining me. He'll be a regular on here. We're going to be showing and talking about some video evidence that he shot himself. But right now, I think he's got a few questions for me, so let's get those out of the way.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. How's it going? Nice to see you guys. This is an exciting show. This is her strength in her wheelhouse. If you watch her channel, yeah. But what I'm curious about, I'm sure all of you are too, Sandra, is what got you into paranormal, Bigfoot, UFOs, etc.
Uh, I've been this way since I was 8 years old. I had my first paranormal experience. And if you go to my playlist, Sandra's Supernatural Tales of the Strange and Macabre, I actually did a video on that telling my ghost story. But just to summarize it quickly, me and my mother were in the basement doing laundry. She had one of those old wringer washers. It took some time. Laundry was actually a chore. And my brother and dad went to a car auction 'cause that's my dad's business, was buying, selling used old cars, trucks, whatever, new, used, trade in, buy, whatever. Anyways, they had gone to a car auction. We heard footsteps, the basement door open, footsteps come down the stairs, and she says, "Why don't you run and see if your dad and brother are home?" So I did, and there was nobody. And I went upstairs and I looked outside. There was nobody. Went back down, reported to my mother, and we both said, hmm. A little while later, as we're folding laundry, hear the door, hear the footsteps. We both go out. We're looking at the stairs. We're hearing the footsteps and not seeing the person making the sound of the footsteps. Footsteps quick, the door shuts, and me and my mother are left standing there thinking, what the fuck? Ever since then, I've had a deep interest in all things dark, paranormal, supernatural, unexplained, magical, mystical, cryptids, ghosts, aliens, whatever you want to call them. All the monsters are real, they all exist. But I've been having paranormal experiences throughout my life. It has never quit. I have them as recent as this past weekend. We have a shadow figure that lives in our basement. It's about
Hmm.
4 feet tall, and Ricky has finally seen it, so I know that I am not crazy. But I was 8, and that's what sparked the interest. My mother had abilities, and I think I got them from her. So
And your neighbor saw that too last week, you said, right?
yeah, the neighbor has been in the house twice where something has happened that is paranormal.
Mm. Mm-mm-mm. Um, I have never had a paranormal experience. Um,
How do you know?
well, I don't
Some people
know.
have them and would never guess that they are.
I don't know that I've ever had one.
Okay.
Um, and I don't know that I want to have one.
No, you don't.
Um,
Nobody
yeah.
should ever want or wish for any of that to happen. Because regardless of what you heard, they can and they will hurt you if they want to. And there's always they can't hurt you, they're not real. Well, yes they are, and yes they can. Did you have any other questions? Have you ever felt like you're being watched? Tony? I think Tony might have froze. Um Anyways, we'll give him a minute to get his stuff together. But like I said, most people, or some people, for me, I think it's most people have had paranormal experiences and have never even really realized that was happening to them. Like if you feel like when you're doing something, or you may be somewhere and you feel like somebody's watching you and nobody's in the immediate area, that's because somebody is watching you. You just can't see them. If your hair sticks up on your arms or the back of your neck, there's usually a good reason for that. If you have um, static electricity a lot, that could be paranormal energy. um, right now, I want us to take a look at the Patterson Gimlin film. What this is, I think, is probably the most looked at piece of paranormal, or not paranormal, of Bigfoot footage. I think it's what made him famous. We're going to take a quick look at that now. We will be showing other clips of this in depth as the show progresses through the weeks. Right now, let's have a look at this.
Here's Bob now with pack horse.
It all looks a bit like a home movie, but then, with just a minute left on the film, it changes dramatically. Whatever your first impression of this footage, there's no in-camera trickery. Examining the film shows that something really walked in front of Patterson's camera. And let's be clear on one thing. This footage either has to be a hoax or the most important piece of wildlife film ever.
If you look closely, and I have some better footage of that's actually been slowed down and the resolution's been made to look really nice. But in this last part where Patty is actually walking back in towards the tree line, I see at least two more of these Bigfoot creatures. This footage here is kind of a bad example to show you, but next week we'll be taking a closer, more in-depth look at this footage, and I will show you where I think there's at least two more. This second clip I want to show you is maybe one of the earliest. This was filmed in 1962. This is from Animal Planet Monster Quest. I don't own this content, and I'm claiming the copyright on it.
I'm Keith Hoffman, executive producer of Finding Bigfoot. And I have to admit, when I started this series, I was a bit of a skeptic. I'm going to show you some of our strongest evidence that made me reconsider my
Hopefully everybody can hear
position
that, okay.
on Bigfoot. This 8mm footage from Colorado might be the first recorded footage of Bigfoot ever. It was taken back in 1962, when everyone wasn't walking around carrying cameras. It was recorded by a dad accompanying a Boy Scout group camping in the Rockies. And this creature is walking across the snow, and then it turns and looks at the camera. I mean, if I were them, I would have been freaked out. You can see this creature's left arm going up in the air as it jumps from rock to rock, as if it's trying to balance himself. Is he trying to keep his big feet out of the snow? They must get cold. Or is he trying to hide his tracks?
It's a huge person.
Bigfoots are very stealthy.
They are.
I gotta give this dad credit. I mean, all right, the footage is black and white and it's grainy, but come on, it's 50 years old and it's better than a lot of footage I've seen come across my desk. The team is divided on this. Cliff is fairly certain this is a Bigfoot, but Renee can't rule out it's just a hiker who's jumping from rock to rock.
Well, if we don't know the depth of the snow, I mean, if I'm a hiker in the backcountry, I'm gonna jump on the rocks to stay out of deep snow. So we can't just make that leap that that's what was going on.
So could this have been a hoax? Could the adults have been playing a joke on the Boy Scouts? I guess so, but you have to remember in those days, you had to develop footage. You couldn't just show it to them instantly. So that's a pretty long, drawn-out prank. But I have to say, I think this figure in the 50-year-old footage is probably a hiker. But what do you think?
I think who goes up into the mountains just to fake footage that hopefully somebody will see in the near future. It's like those footprints they found way up on top of this mountain, like thousands and thousands. And they call it who the hell's gonna go up there and hoax, make footprints in the hopes that somebody eventually comes along someday to see them. I mean, to me that was a Bigfoot. I mean, the thing was huge. I got another clip we're going to show from Jane Goodall. She has an interesting perspective on Bigfoot and aliens. And then we're going to show tea cakes footage, and we're going to talk about that. So, first, let's take a listen to Jane Goodall's take on all
hills. This was where I was meant to be.
I want to talk to you about something that some would say is fictional, but you would say, hold up, we don't know for certain, and that's Bigfoot.
Everybody talks to me about... I'm romantic. I would like Bigfoot to exist. I've met people who swear they've seen Bigfoot. And I think the interesting thing is every single continent, there is an equivalent of Bigfoot or Sasquatch. There's the Yeti, there's the Yari in Australia, there's the Chinese wild man, and on and on and on. And, I've had stories from people who, you have to believe them. So there's something, I don't know what it is. I'm always open-minded.
What about other mythological creatures like or supposedly mythological, I guess I should say, like the Loch Ness Monster?
The Loch Ness Monster obviously doesn't exist.
Alien beings, do you think we're alone in this universe?
I don't. I think that it doesn't make sense to think we're the only intelligent form of life. This wall that was built between us, we're just the only really intelligent, capable of this, that, and the other. Difference in kind between us and the other animals, that wall is broken down, and the chimps help to break it down.
Do you think there is a possibility that people will start to actually regard chimpanzees give them more agency and more personhood?
That's actually happening. In fact, there's something going on right now where 2 chimpanzees in Angola are being brought into DRC, to a sanctuary.
Okay. And getting away from her
and
Bigfoot theory.
Into Congo, Brazzaville. And there's talk of them
getting
getting passports. And there would be
because she is that interesting. And if anybody would know, she's probably seen some. Are you ready, Tony?
I guess. What I missed there? Power went off and came back on. Interesting, it went off right as I said. I don't want any paranormal experiences. And then kapowie. I'm like, oh, I need to keep my mouth shut.
Oh my God, they're listening to us.
I
have to get my aluminum foil helmet off.
It came right back on though, so
yes,
no worries.
Okay, everybody, this is Tony's footage of what I think may be a possible juvenile Bigfoot. Take a look at that now. Do you want to say anything before the footage or just talk about it afterwards?
Why don't I? What you're going to see was a couple 100 yards down my hill here, and there's woods all around me for miles and miles and miles. It's a creek down here, and I walk my dogs down the hill here. A couple of years ago, it had snowed, and I walked my dogs down by the creek, and there were these tracks in new snow that toes on them, and I'm like, what the hell? And it's not that they were huge, but what was striking was these tracks ran with the creek and ended up in the woods but the stride in between each step, you
It's
can
long.
watch. I'm walking right beside these, and you can see how many steps I take, and you can see it's a number of my steps, and then the next one of those. But yeah, I saw them. I put the dogs inside, grabbed my phone, went back out there, and I took one still shot, and
Yep,
she'll show that.
that's
It's
right there.
that.
Yep. And
Um,
you can see what looked like toe outline. I swear to God, if you can see
yeah,
my cursor, I don't know if you can see my cursor, but you got the indent, and then you have up at the top here what look like three little toes, and then a couple of larger. I mean, I
yeah, I
it's very
saw.
very
Yeah,
interesting.
but what was striking was just the length of each step.
Yeah, you guys, you're gonna see it's quite the gate. Let's play that now, and then we'll get back to talking about this. And that's a huge ass step. And did you hear any noises when you were out? Anything that would be you would think,
Mm-mm. That was about 8, 9 o'clock the next morning
oh, okay.
after an overnight snowfall.
Is that the only time that you ever
Only
seen?
time. Yeah,
The only time? Wow.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, mighty strange though. That I mean,
It's very interesting. That picture right there just looks, I mean, it looks like a footprint. Um I know some people maybe so do you have bear in your area? Do you have large deer in your area?
we do occasionally see a cub out and about. It hadn't happened here in 8 or 9 years, but once in a blue moon. But I'm not an expert on bear tracks or any tracks for that matter, but um, I found this
But you had the
strange.
wherewithal to see these and think, "Holy shit, this is something different."
Yeah, I've thought, what the hell is this? Let me get my phone, and I went right back out there.
Yeah, yeah. I probably would have done. I would have done the exact same thing. That's very, very cool. All right, I know they're probably wondering, and no, we're not ignoring you, chat. Let's do a quick roll call. Please shout out where you're from and if you have ever Googled Bigfoot sightings in your area. Who do we got with us, Tony?
Let's see. I'm going to start at the newest and go to the oldest. Rising Havoc, James, Reverend Dwight Bailey, Mr. Charles Green. Hey, Charles. Bumble Bess, Brendan B. Squared, James Gibb, Lenny, Lou, and Mary. Hello, ladies.
Oh,
Let me go, keep going. Michael Lepensi, Dean Lowry, Guitar Hack. Hey, Hack.
Heck yeah.
Absolute Mayhem is in here. Hey, buddy.
Heck probably wants me to leave and work on his video now.
Let me see if we have anybody else.
Just kidding.
Thomas Santiago is here. Hey, dude.
Thomas, what's up?
My mom. Rick Hefner's here. Hey, Rick. Oh, scrolling up. Paul Lou.
We got one person on Facebook. I'm guessing that maybe Charles Green. 22 watching, 18 thumbs up. Is that right? Smash that like button. So, Tony. Tony's froze up again. Okay. Tony, you're froze. If you can hear me. You're froze. Yeah. I'll have to pop back in. So I'm going to read some of these comments, and then depending if Tony can make it back or not, I will show another video clip. So let me get up here. Thank you. You rock too. Don't be scared. Messing with Sasquatch. Mr. Rock. Hi, Sean. Got some stuff here for you if you want to stop by and pick that up. That'd be great. I don't know if he got squatched or not. Yes, we did. Guitar Hack will be asking for videos soon. I did not. Hello to Mitch Heyman. What's up, Hitman? Charles Green joining us on Facebook. How you doing, Charles? Yeah. Bigfoot's a crazy son of a gun. Here are some headlines from my state. Sheriff's Department in Wisconsin investigates Sasquatch sighting. Bigfoot sighting in Necedah. There's a full, we'll get into that one of these episodes. Rapid area girls featured on finding Bigfoot. That's not too far. And then, like I asked earlier, if any of you have ever Googled Bigfoot sightings in your state, well, I did just that recently. And right here in my own county, in Dane County. Oops. Sorry, Charles. I gotta go back and try to find you. Okay. This is, I believe, over by the lake. Route 12 west through Madison, University of Ada, Lake Mendota. I did not watch your show, but I did not know who to contact after a Squatch sighting. My parents believe I'm crazy, but I did see him. I live on the corner of Henry and Langdon in Madison. I saw him at Lake Mendota walking on the shore at the end of North Henry Street. When I saw him, he must have been 7 to 8 feet tall with a ton of hair. Found it extremely odd to see him by the UW-Madison campus. It was definitely him. Other people with me and that live here see him. And the follow-up, the BFRO investigator, a Bigfoot research organization. This is a shout out to Melissa Hovey. If you're listening to this at all, I've tried to get in contact with you. Give me a message on my Gmail or Facebook. I'd love to talk to you. Anyways, this is in depth. I spoke with a student at length about his experience. He and two friends were walking back from class to their dorms on North Henry along the south side of Lake Mendota near the University of Wisconsin-Madison. It was dusk. They were descending steps near a cliff to traverse the frozen lake surface. Suddenly, they see a 7 to 8 foot tall creature covered in dark hair, approximately 100 feet in front of them, next to a stand of bushes and trees. They described it as big and broad like Shaquille O'Neal, only 70 to 100 pounds heavier. It saw them. They stopped in their tracks, scared. They were intimidated, saying it felt like your dad just yelled at you. They thought of running, but stayed their ground. Watched for 20 seconds. The creature began making a low-pitched purring noise, which turned into a growl. The three students were starting to turn when the creature ambled into the woods on two legs, loudly crunching branches and trees as it went away. Total duration of the sighting was about 45 seconds. Logan took a picture of it on his cell phone via Snapchat. The picture's now gone. It must be because I could not find anything that was... He described the eyes as red and glowing, very large for the face. That's the only thing that throws me off about this report are the eyes. There are dumpsters along the lake edge outside the fraternity houses. There are some woods, but most are on the opposite side of the bay. They smelled nothing. Weather was cold. They knew not what it was and began to Google possibilities, finding the BFRO site to report the incident. He followed up on another report that we received a few days prior. We'll be getting into that report next week. Of a large black creature in the field just a few blocks away. Two girls were walking a trail at dusk when they saw it. Description matches this report. This gentleman says that he knows one of the girls personally and is trustworthy and honest. That is some crazy stuff. And that is not too far from my house. I have a question for Sean in the chat. You've gone fishing down by there plenty of times. So I'm wondering if you have ever seen or heard anything you might thought been a little bit unusual. I'm going to bring up now this next clip. It's called the Cherokee Search for Bigfoot. I really like this guy, so we're going to watch this now. And hopefully T-Cake will be joining us. If not, we're just going to roll on. But here we go.
In the heart of the Cherokee Nation, locals have spotted a mysterious creature. We tagged along as they tracked and collected evidence of the beast many know as Bigfoot.
There is a vast area, natural forest that people have never seen before. And our elders have told us that there were beings that lived in the woods. Today we hear the word Bigfoot or Sasquatch, but in our Cherokee history, in our culture, we call them Uni Udawihi, the mythical or the secluded tribe. Now, from the cultural aspect of it, these creatures were put here by our creator, Unetlana, and these beings were put here to help us. On our villages in ancient times, we had boundaries where we hunted and gathered, and we would present berries and edible roots at the edge of our boundaries as an offering to these creatures. And in return, these creatures would help us and protect us during our times of hunting and gathering. These beings existed a long time ago, and they do exist today. They're just not talked about as much. And some people get glimpses of them every now and then. I've been coon hunting with buddies that, I caught a glimpse of something that was, to me was unbelievable. I see a lot more groups involved in, wanting to go out and prove that this thing exists. Is it going to be proven or is it not going to be proven? Well, curiosity drives human nature. And if you're always looking for something, you're going to find it.
My entire life, I've been in the woods probably 4,000 times. And out of all those times, I've had 27 encounters with what I would truthfully say was a Bigfoot. It's become a part of our culture that these creatures coexist with us. I have other members of the Cherokee Nation come up to me and say, hey, I've seen one. My name is Darren Lee. I go by D.W. Lee. I'm the Executive Director for Mid-America Bigfoot Research Center. The MABRC is an international organization. We have 500 plus members. The goal of the MABRC is to actually accumulate as much information and evidence as we can. So when it is proved to science, I can say, okay, here's what I got. You either take it and use it, throw it away, whatever you want. But I've done my part. We believe Bigfoot is a large primate. They're all hairy, got a big foot, more of an ape-like features to its face. It has above average intelligence. The ones in this area are about 7 to 8 feet tall. For the most part, they are shy, they are elusive, and as long as you don't corner one, they usually stay pretty at ease with you. When the MABRC decides to do an expedition, we don't want to go in an area that don't have no Bigfoot sightings or any activity. We've actually got a whole bunch of research areas spread across the country. We have some here near Stillwell that are pretty active. This area here, we've had a lot of encounters and sightings and stuff like that down through here. You can see some high-line power poles down there, and we speculate that the Bigfoot use a power line right-of-way as a navigation tool. You know, they just walk along it. It's just a lot of uncharted wilderness out there, probably places out there that man has never stepped foot in. Once we get out there on site, we put our recorders out. What we do is we have these little audio recorders, and we have these what we call drop boxes. And they're tubes that has bark glued on the outside of them. And we have a stick that we can hang it about 20 feet up in the air. What this does is it makes it unnoticeable. We use thermal cameras that are portable that we can take everywhere with us. We also use parabolic listening devices, which are big bowls with a microphone in the middle, and these take the sounds and focuses them on that microphone. We also use drones to fly over an area. A lot of times when we go out on expeditions, we'll have members do a vocalization. We speculate that Bigfoot makes these whooping sounds. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to get a Bigfoot to respond to these whoops. The vocalizations that Randy's been doing, even if we don't hear a response here, if there's one farther up in the valley, hopefully the recorders will pick it up.
In most primates, the long calls are used as a food response, that food has been found, food is there, available.
These vocalizations can mean different things. Hopefully Randy don't ever call in a love-struck Bigfoot. He'll be on his own.
And I can't run.
We have DNA collection kits. If we see a hair sample, we record it, we document it. We look for tree structures. Tree structures are items that's been constructed out in the woods that shouldn't really be there.
There is absolutely no root ball down here whatsoever. This end has been burnt completely. This is not a rotted off end like you would see if it rotted out of the ground. Talk about a balancing act. This is what we see a lot of times on these structures where they'll actually balance. You can try to knock them down and they won't.
There's different speculations what each kind of structure means. This could be just a warning to other Bigfoot, hey, this behind this is my territory, don't come any further. It could even be a directional marker. You know, if we follow where it's pointing, we might find a water source. We also look for footprints. You know, when you're 7, 8 miles back up in the woods and you come across a bare footprint, it's not too likely you got humans running around barefoot up there in the woods.
Looks like we got something here. It's not very big, about maybe 7 inches, 6 inches, not much bigger than that, but there's a toe, and a toe. There's a heel, side of the foot's well defined. That's actually castable.
Based on the size, like Jim said, it's probably, 7.5 inches. If anything, it's probably maybe a 1-year-old at the most.
At the most, maybe.
Yeah.
It'd only be something probably about this tall. Well, let's go ahead and cast this one. That's a pretty good little impression for this part of the state. And we'll pull this out of the ground and see what it looks like when it sets. This is an impression of a possible Bigfoot track. The typical size that people find for these things in Oklahoma is generally between 16 to 20 inches for the adults. Stuff smaller than that would be juveniles. In humans, we wear shoes and it causes the toe to get diverted inwards, and it's a deformity caused from wearing shoes. When you see a toe that's splayed out like that, that means that whatever left the footprint has never worn shoes.
The MABRC does not make a definitive claim that anything is Bigfoot. We're very scientifically minded. You got to let the research show you what's out there. As the executive director of the MABRC, I'm basically taking care of the website, taking care of the forums. I also get evidence from our guys, video evidence, picture evidence. A lot of times I'll take a photo, and what I'm doing is I'm zooming in on it. I'm changing the pixelization on it. I'm changing from color to black and white to see if there's anything that pops out at me. Some of the most compelling evidence that the MABRC has collected. We do have a lot of thermal footage. We have several videos of a Bigfoot in the same location 2 weeks apart, filmed by two different researchers. We also have a picture of what we believe is a juvenile Bigfoot going across a trail down here in southeast Oklahoma. We also have hair samples. Some of them have unknown qualities to them that don't line up to other animals. Most purported Bigfoot hair doesn't have that medulla in there like human hair and dog hair and stuff like that. For audio recordings, we actually had a recording of what we believe could possibly be a Bigfoot. That was our researcher doing that call. That was the return response. The thing about humans, we think we know a lot, but as far as our planet goes, we probably only know maybe 5% of what's actually on our planet. We discover new species every day. So for us to find more information about our planet and what exists with us, I think that is really key for our survival in the end run, whether it's considered paranormal or normal. We need to find this stuff out.
All right.
Interesting.
So that last little bit there, you saw all that wilderness, just in thousands and thousands of acres of. North Carolina, there's a lot of places like that too, just vast amounts of wilderness.
Yeah.
What have you heard? What are some of your lore and your legends for your state, Tony?
Well, there's in the Appalachian Mountain chain, Western North Carolina, in those bordering states, that's excluding the upper Pacific Northwest. The Appalachian Mountains is the next hottest spot. It's constant, really nothing here near me. I mean, I live in between Raleigh, Durham, and the Virginia state line. And it but North Carolina has, yeah, it's constant in our mountains in the western part of the state. Yeah, so I mean, there's always pros and cons, you know. Um,
Do you have a lot of battleground hauntings?
North of me, you know, once you cross the state line, Virginia's littered with them, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
Virginia's got a lot of interesting tales.
yeah.
I don't know what happened to Les. I don't know what happened to Gary. I guess they left. I don't know. I have no idea. Stop asking because I don't know.
And if my internet goes out again, I'll try to pop back in, but sorry, you know. Um, yeah, so
Is there any famous haunted house in your city or in your neighborhood that everybody says don't go by there?
not in mine. It is a couple in Raleigh that has its tales, you know. Um,
So
and
if I
I
was
ride
coming, go ahead.
what? No, what?
I was gonna say if I was to come down there and say let's go shoot a haunted location, where would you be, where would you say okay, let's go here?
There's this house in Raleigh. It's about, I don't know, 100 years old, huge house. Once was I don't know, a home of a general and then turned into a morgue, or I don't know. It's a couple of those around here. Yeah.
Do your kids ever say anything? Is there anything in your house that you know of? Do they ever say, hey, when they were little, did they have imaginary friends, anything like that?
No, but my one of my sons, I'm not gonna identify
Right.
which one. Um, and he's going to kill me if he watches this. But many years ago, we lived in Durham, and way back in the woods, many acres, had woods and a pond, and he says and claims to this day that he saw a man in the woods with a long musket and had on a coat, old style coat, matching old style hat. Um, so
Is he a soldier?
that's what he said.
Wow.
He was about 9 or 10.
Damn.
His swing set used to sit right against the wood line,
Yeah.
you know. But yeah,
Yep.
I never saw it.
I had an imaginary friend when I was a little kid that we'd meet at the swing set. Yeah.
Really?
Yes. Her name was Jill. I will never forget it.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Was she
Almost every day.
real? Like you could see her?
You could see her, but she wasn't. I mean, at one time she'd probably been real, but safe to say that she was probably a ghost.
That's
So,
creepy.
chat. 1 if you believe in Bigfoot, a 2 if you don't, and a 3 if you just don't know what happened.
I think that there
James,
is
that's not nice. You love your brother. Go ahead, Tony.
I think that there is some type of animal out there that's very elusive, very shy. Um, Not many of them, maybe just hundreds, but many states in America have these sightings.
Yeah.
You know,
It's not every state has some sort of sighting, but throughout every country in the world, and they go back from where they were painting what they think were Sasquatches or Bigfoots on cave walls. And you know, I would feel safe in saying that they probably go back thousands of years as far as Bigfoot sightings, you know, before you could probably even draw right what they were.
oh yeah,
I'm not
absolutely.
I'm not sure what they are. I don't know if it's something that got stuck in some sort of weird evolutionary warp, or if it's an actual species that hasn't been properly identified by science. Unfortunately, science ain't going to be happy until they have a body, and nor will they even admit they exist until they have a body.
Yeah, right.
And
I
people say
mean,
you never get a body, can't you never see them, or you know you never come across their bones. You know that may be, but
well,
what?
I mean, it if I look at it like if these things are real, there can't be a whole heck of a lot of them, maybe however many hundred of them in the whole, let's just say our country, not the whole world, but just our country. There can't be but X amount of hundred of these. So when one passes away, I mean, that's like a needle in a haystack. I mean, and if they bury their dead, maybe they eat their dead. Who knows?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I mean, but I'm not surprised that there's no corpse found.
I'm not either.
There's not
Especially
many of them.
no, that's with any animal in the wilderness. It's going to be there maybe a good 3 or 4 days before it's spread and picked apart and all over, because everything has come and had a bite and taken off with peace. I mean, it's everywhere. So yeah, I'm not surprised that a body hasn't been found yet. Although there are people claims to have shot them and taken them home and had them in their freezer and kept. I mean, I don't know if any of that's real. I
Well,
hope I hope that ain't the case. I mean, be nice to Bigfoots. I think it would be bad luck to kill one. Very bad luck.
I saw a documentary where an older lady that lived, I don't know what state she lived in, um, lived out in a cabin in the woods.
Can I just address this comment real
Sure,
quick?
sure.
Because he brings up a very good point. He's skeptical, but acknowledges the possibility that there may be a Bigfoot. All I'm gonna say is most of you people in the chat probably believe in God. How many times have you caught him on camera? That's all I'm gonna say about that. 6:54. We got a few more minutes. Okay, then I'll say something. Coming up in a little bit, be sure to tune in for Show Me Your Pick. Maybe.
Well, let's address that. Um, since, and I'll be brief, since my internet and the power has gone on and off a number of times in this past hour since we've been live here. I put a YouTube video out early this afternoon about the possibility of this happening and rescheduling to tomorrow at 6. So we're going to do Show Me Your Pick tomorrow afternoon at 6 p.m. Eastern. I'm going to go ahead. I'm not going to take the chance. If I
Oh,
lose
goodness.
power as a guest on a show, It's not the end of the world. I can come back or not come back, but if I'm calling the shots in the show and I lose power, the show's over. So I'm
Yeah,
not going to
because
take that chance.
I mean, we can only talk about so much. You've got all the cool stuff.
Right. Yeah, so I can't control anything on my phone like I want to. But anyway,
Right.
show me your pick tomorrow, 6 p.m. Twisted Sister. Back to Bigfoot.
All right.
All
Ladies
right.
and gentlemen, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this full debut of Squatch Squad Live. If you like the merc, visit the gift shop when we're done. There's a couple of new designs in there regardless. Any last words, Tea Cake?
Yeah, I want to ask you a question. What type of shows should we all expect down the road? Not just Sasquatch, but other
We
types
will
of shows too.
Yes, if you look at my playlists, that's the kind of topics you can expect. We are going to be talking about all things strange and unusual, haunted, abandoned, cryptids. We're going to be talking about Bigfoot. We'll talk about the Mothman. We'll talk about the Jersey Devil. We'll talk vampires. We'll talk werewolves. We're going to be talking ghosts. Anything that's dark,
Lake
mysterious,
monsters.
strange, macabre, lake monsters, all of it.
Nice.
So, if you would, and I should have this. I should have this up here. Do you have a strange tale to tell? Something you can't explain happened to you? I'd love to hear your story. Email me, pokorneysandra@gmail.com, and you may come on as a guest.
Yeah. Nice. I told my story, and I was scared to. I hadn't told anybody. My kids know about that. Now the whole damn world knows about it.
And that's
So,
okay.
But anyway, it is what it is.
Anyway, we're out of here, folks. Thanks so much. We shall see you next time. Thanks for being here. I really appreciated it. So.